He started off calm. He was the listener, the rock, the quiet harbour in any emotional storm. At the beginning of the relationship, he saw his patience as a superpower. He gave her time, space, and the benefit of the doubt, believing that his steady nature was a virtue, a testament to his strength and the depth of his love. He was the man who could absorb the waves of a bad day, a frustrating week, or a moment of insecurity and remain unshaken. But slowly, almost without anyone noticing, that patience began to feel like pressure. The calm harbour started taking on water, one small leak at a time, and that pressure, over months or even years, built into a silent simmering rage that she, and maybe even he, didn't see coming. Until one day, the dam breaks, and it explodes. The man who was once a source of comfort becomes a source of fear. This is the story of that transformation. It's not a simple story of a good man turning bad. It's a complex, painful journey of psychological erosion. It's about how a relational dynamic, often invisible to the outside world, can quietly corrode a man's gentle nature. In this video, we'll uncover the emotional mechanics of this process, turning a patient man into an angry one. Let's first paint a clearer picture of this man. In the beginning, he's the ideal partner in many ways. His defining characteristic is his capacity for patience. He doesn't fly off the handle. When his partner is upset, he absorbs it. He listens to frustrations, validates feelings, and withstands occasional outbursts without retaliating. He tells himself this is what a good partner does. This is his job. This patience is rooted in a deep-seated belief system, often formed in childhood. He may have grown up in a chaotic home and promised himself he would be the opposite. Or perhaps he was taught that real men are stoic, unflappable providers of stability. He often operates from a logical framework, assuming that if he provides enough stability, logic, and understanding, the relationship will eventually find its equilibrium. He sees his patience not as being passive, but as an active, foundational strength. He is the provider of calm, the emotional bedrock. He's the man who says, "It's okay, we'll figure it out," after a heated argument, even when he's feeling hurt himself. He's the one who bites his tongue when a cutting remark is made, telling himself she's just having a bad day and doesn't really mean it. He prides himself on being the steady hand, the captain navigating the relationship through turbulent waters with a quiet, unwavering resolve. For a time, this works. In fact, it's often celebrated. The relationship feels stable because he's single-handedly absorbing all the instability. He's the shock absorber, and for this he's often praised by his partner and their friends, seen as reliable, kind, and strong. He believes this is his role, and he plays it well because it brings peace and earns him love and respect. But what he doesn't realize is that every shock absorbed, every frustration swallowed, and every dismissive comment ignored has a cost. The bill inevitably comes due, and the currency is his own peace. The transformation from patient to angry never happens overnight. It's a slow, creeping process, a death by 1,000 cuts. It rarely begins with a grand betrayal, but with a series of small, almost unnoticeable patterns that begin to chip away at his foundation of goodwill and respect. It often starts with how conflict is handled. Some people express frustration in subtle, indirect ways, through pointed silence, sarcasm, or sulking, rather than voicing it directly. For a partner who is logical and wired to solve problems, this can be a maddening experience. He is built to find solutions, but he can't solve a problem that isn't clearly stated. He asks, "What's wrong?" And the answer is a heavy sigh, and nothing. He knows something is wrong. He can feel the tension in the room. But he is denied access to the actual conflict. He tries again. "I know something's bothering you. Let's just talk about it." The response might be, If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. When his repeated good faith efforts to understand are met with a wall of indirectness, the first seeds of resentment are sown. He feels like he's failing a test he was never given the questions to. This feeds into a destructive cycle that relationship researchers call the demand-withdraw pattern. This is one of the most common and damaging dynamics in relationships. It works like this. One partner makes demands, complains, or criticizes, while the other partner withdraws, avoids, or shuts down. This pattern is often gendered, with women more frequently in the demanding role and men in the withdrawing one, partly because women are often socialized to be the emotional managers of a relationship responsible for bringing up issues. The more one person demands and pursues, the more the other withdraws and avoids, and the cycle spirals. This toxic cycle often involves what renowned researcher Dr. John Gottman identifies as the 4 horsemen of relationship failure: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. First comes criticism. This isn't just a complaint about a specific action, it's an attack on his character. A complaint sounds like, "I was scared when you were running late and didn't call." Criticism sounds like, "You're so thoughtless. You never think about me." When this becomes pervasive, he feels like his very essence is being assaulted. Next, and deadliest, is contempt. Gottman calls this the greatest predictor of divorce. Contempt is criticism mixed with disgust. It's treating someone with disrespect, mockery, or condescension. It's sarcasm, name-calling, eye-rolling, sneering, and hostile humor. It's saying, "You're tired? I've been with the kids all day. What have you possibly done to be tired?" It's a statement of superiority that makes the other person feel worthless. The natural response to being attacked with criticism and contempt is defensiveness. He might make excuses, counter-criticize, or play the victim. "It's not my fault," or, "Well, I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't." While understandable, defensiveness just escalates the conflict because it's a way of blaming your partner. Finally, after enduring enough criticism, contempt, and failed defensiveness, he resorts to stonewalling. This is when the listener withdraws from the conversation, shuts down, or simply stops responding. In his mind, he's thinking, "I can't win. Nothing I say makes it better, so I'll say nothing at all." He's trying to de-escalate to prevent a huge fight. But his withdrawal is often interpreted as indifference or apathy, which then triggers more intense demands and criticism from his partner, who escalates her attack to break through his wall. Each cycle of this loop erodes his patience. He feels perpetually attacked and misunderstood. His quiet nature, once a source of strength, is now a liability. Living in an emotionally volatile environment creates chronic stress, and a partner's hostility can significantly impact the other person's well-being and aggression levels. The man is still smiling on the outside, but inside a reservoir of unspoken frustration is filling up, drop by corrosive drop. There comes a moment when the dam of suppressed emotion can no longer hold. The patient man breaks. The result is often an explosion of anger that seems shocking and out of proportion to everyone, especially his partner. To understand this snap, we have to look beneath the surface of the anger itself. For many men, anger is what psychologists call a secondary emotion. It's a mask. It's the socially acceptable armor worn to cover up deeper, more vulnerable feelings they've been taught are unacceptable. From a young age, many men are conditioned to hide emotions like sadness, fear, or shame. Phrases like, "boys don't cry," teach them that expressing vulnerability is a sign of weakness. So, when a man is repeatedly hurt, ignored, or devalued in his relationship, he may not feel safe to express the sadness of being disconnected, the fear of losing the relationship, or the embarrassment of feeling inadequate. All that pain gets funneled into the one emotion he feels allowed to show: anger. The rage you see is often the grief he was never allowed to express. A potent fuel for this rage is shame. Researcher Brené Brown defines shame as the intensely painful feeling that we are unworthy of love and belonging. For men, she found, this feeling is often tied to a single crushing expectation: do not be perceived as weak. When a man is constantly criticized, when his efforts are dismissed, or when he's made to feel incompetent, it can trigger a deep, primal sense of shame. Imagine being belittled for a mistake at work or mocked for a failed attempt to fix something at home. This isn't just criticism, it's an attack on his competence, his value. According to Brown's research, men often react to shame in one of two ways: they shut down or they get pissed off. That anger is a desperate pushback against the feeling of worthlessness, a declaration of, I am not weak, I am not what you say I am. This ties into the final trigger, a total loss of control. The patient man has tried everything in his toolkit. He has listened. He has been patient. He has tried to solve the problem logically. He has withdrawn to keep the peace. But nothing has worked. He feels utterly powerless to fix the dynamic, to stop the criticism, or to be heard. His anger in this context is not just an emotion, it's an action. It's a primal scream for control. It is a violent last-ditch attempt to draw a boundary where gentle lines have been ignored time and time again. It's a destructive and terrifying display, but in that moment, it feels like the only tool he has left. After the explosion, everything changes. The patient man is gone, and in his place stands someone his partner, and often he himself, no longer recognizes. He's now cold, defensive, and perpetually irritable. The calm harbor has become a minefield. The man who once absorbed emotions now repels them with a hardened shell of anger and resentment. From his partner's perspective, this transformation is often baffling and terrifying. She may see his anger as coming out of nowhere, a sudden and unjustifiable shift. She may not see the long, slow erosion that came before it. She doesn't connect his rage today with the 1,000 subtle cuts from past conflicts, the stonewalling, the contempt. She only sees the monster, not the man she wounded, so he gets a label. You have anger issues. You're toxic. You're not the man I fell in love with. This reaction, while understandable from a limited viewpoint, can feel like the final, devastating blow. It may confirm his deepest fear, that he was never truly seen or understood. His anger, which was a desperate signal of his pain, is now reframed as a personal flaw, further proof of his inadequacy. This creates a vicious feedback loop. Being labelled as angry makes him angrier, validating the perception and pushing them further apart. The trust is shattered. Where there was once emotional safety, there is now fear and distance. He may withdraw completely, becoming a ghost in the relationship to protect himself from more pain, or he may remain overtly aggressive, seeing every interaction as a potential threat. Intimacy, both emotional and physical, withers. The relationship becomes consumed by managing his anger, rather than focusing on mutual growth and connection. He has become the very thing he never wanted to be. The patience he prized as a virtue was tested until it became a vulnerability. His attempts to be a good partner led to his own emotional destruction. The anger is a fortress built from the rubble of his broken patience, and now he's trapped inside it, just as his partner is trapped outside. If this story, this psychological journey, resonates with you, if you felt that quiet erosion of your own patience turning into resentment, it's not a sign that you are broken. It's a sign that your boundaries have been crossed for far too long and your emotional well-being has paid the price. To understand how to reclaim your inner peace and build healthier relationship dynamics without letting it escalate to rage, take a moment to subscribe. We're dedicated to exploring these unspoken truths every week so you can arm yourself with understanding and build a better future. So how does this story end? The anger of the once patient man is not a simple flaw to be fixed. It's a tragic but logical outcome of a destructive dynamic. It is a defense mechanism born from a place of deep hurt and repeated disrespect. It's a distress signal from a part of him that has been ignored for too long. The path forward isn't about blaming women or men. This is a relational dynamic, a breakdown in communication and respect from both sides. However, for the man who finds himself in this angry state, the solution can't start with trying to fix his partner. The change must come from within. The first step is reclamation of self. He has to understand why he feels this anger. He has to connect it back to the suppressed feelings of sadness, fear, and especially shame. He must acknowledge the pain he's been swallowing in the name of keeping the peace. It means looking in the mirror and admitting, I am hurt. I feel disrespected. I am afraid. The ultimate lesson here is one of prevention. Patience is a virtue, but patience without boundaries is self-destruction. A person's kindness and willingness to be accommodating should not be an open invitation for disrespect. The solution is to learn to draw lines, early and firmly, not with anger, but with calm, confident assertion. It means learning to say, it's not okay when you speak to me like that with contempt. The first time it happens, not the 500th. It means expressing his own needs and feelings clearly, even when it feels vulnerable. It's saying, I feel disconnected when we don't resolve our arguments, and I need us to find a better way to talk through them. For the man watching this, the goal is to never let your patience curdle into resentment. Protect your peace as your most valuable asset. The most resilient relationships aren't those without conflict, but those where both partners feel safe enough to express their needs and work through it as a team. The transformation from a patient man to an angry one is a tragedy, but understanding its roots is the first step toward breaking the cycle. It's the key to reclaiming not just your peace, but the best version of yourself, a version that is both strong and gentle, patient and protected.